just living the dream under this southern sky. It's where stories are born and legends never die.
All right, this is Johnny Ponder. I'm with Tales of Trails, brought to you by Cheaha Legends. We are going to do a little something different. This time of the year, we got spring coming on and a lot of flowers blooming. We're going to just talk about a few flowers, wildflowers that bloom this time of the year. One of the first plants to come up in the spring of the year, and they got a pretty little yellow flower, is this right here. This is called a trout lily. And you can tell by looking at it, it's kind of got a mottled colored leaf. And there's the bloom for it. It has a fairly bright yellow bloom to it. But that's a trout lily, and that'll be one of the first things that comes up in the spring of the year. All right, another plant that comes up real fast is a trillium. This is a trillium right here. Now it has a red flower right in the center there, and we'll try to find one that is in bloom right now. And it's a pretty nice place. I know my granddaddy we used to call this turkey weed, because my granddaddy used to use these leaves for calling, to call turkeys. Of course, he was a lot better at it than I am, but that's basically the principle. But that's trillium. Now we'll try to find one that's in bloom. Let's look right here. You got some fiddlehead blooms. See how the head of that, ferns, you can see how the head of that fern kind of looks like a fiddle. The top of the fiddle where the strings attach. And they're called fiddlehead ferns. Real hardy plant. Look at this. And it's right beside a trillium. This is called a bloodroot. It has kind of a sand dollar look to it. You see how that leaf does? And right here the bloom is coming up. Let's see if we can't get some of it out of the ground. Okay, it has kind of a tuber here on the end. You'll see, now look, the reason they call it bloodroot, that if you break it open, it'll look like it's bleeding. See how that red's coming out of it? Well, anyway, this stuff right here really stains, as you can see how it did on my finger right there. And it was said that the Indians, women, would use it as coloring for their skin to make it a dark brown, because it'll kind of turn a brown color when it dries. So I guess you could call it a instant suntan. This is another type of trillium. See, its bloom is on the bottom, under the leaves. And that's called a nodding trillium. It's nodding down, the bloom is. This is a crimson trillium, and you can see the real crimson red bloom right there. That's two trilliums that side by side. I think that's pretty cool to have found them like that. I'm glad I did. Got a treasure forest tour coming up here in a week or two, and we're going to be looking at a lot of this stuff here during that thing. Now let me show you this right here. This plant right here, it's a vine, and it's often mistaken as poison ivy, but it's not. This is what you call Virginia creeper. You see the 5 leaves, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, where poison ivy has only 3, but this one has 5. Leaves of 3, let them be. Recognize that as being the bloodroot. this being the Virginia creeper. But check this one out right here. This is called heart leaf. Now I wonder why they call it that, it's shaped like a heart. Here's another one here. Some people call it wild ginger, because if you would take this leaf and really, and then smell it, you'll see what I'm talking about. Get you a smell of it there, dude.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so it's sometimes called wild ginger. And it will have a bloom too a little later on. I was looking for one of these. Here's what's called a tree violet. Some people call them stump violets because you'll see them a lot of times growing around an old rotten stump or anywhere there's a lot of real organic soil like we have in this area here. But that's a tree violet. Okay, we got another real common plant to this area, and that is these May apples. If you see them right up here, they are just literally thousands of them. And if you look at this one, it has an actual little apple that grows on it right there up under it. But this is the May apple. Now these, when they get up and get ripe a little later this spring, people even used to make jelly out of them. Make May apple jelly. I don't know what it tastes like. I've never had any. But a May apple is a pretty hardy plant. It likes bottoms. It likes shade. As you can see right up this little flat right here, we got some up here that's got blooms on them. Let me go get one of them. There's a bloom, and you can see the little apple already forming in the center of the bloom right there. I'd like to try some of that May apple jelly. I think it'd be pretty good. Because I know that the things, when they do get ripe, I've tasted them and they're real sour. And the more sour fruit is, the better jelly it makes. I guess because you put a lot more sugar in it to sweeten it up. All right, this is the common buckeye bush. And it'll have actual buckeyes that'll grow on it. And a lot of people call them horse chestnuts. I've heard them called all kind of things. But if you'll notice, it's got a palmated leaf. And it's got 5 leaves on it. Or actually, this one thing right here is called a leaf. These are leaflets. And see, there's 5 on that. So this one whole thing is a leaf, but these are leaflets on it. And it's a real common bush. You see them everywhere, and they'll have a red bloom. Do you see any on this one? Yeah, right here at the top. See, it has a red bloom. And when they really get in bloom, hummingbirds really like them. They're kind of a trumpet type bloom. What we have right here is the state of Alabama's wildflower. Now it's not in bloom and will not be in bloom until June. This is the oak leaf hydrangea. It's the state wildflower of Alabama. It has a large snowball-like bloom. Looks a lot like the domestic snowballs, which is incidentally a type of hydrangea too. But this one right here grows wild in Alabama and is the state flower. And this hillside right here is just full of them. They're a really nice plant. Then they can be transplanted. You can transplant them into your yards, and if you'll take care of them, they'll do good, in or out of sun. This is one of my favorite wildflowers. This right here is what's called a fire pink. Now, a lot of people will confuse it with an Indian paintbrush. This is not an Indian paintbrush. This is a fire pink. And then also they'll confuse them with a cardinal flower. Cardinal flowers grow more in lower places, where these grow up on hillsides. As you can see, we're up on the hillside now. And for some reason, up this road right here, there's a lot of them. Always has been. But that's a pretty, and it's really bright, and when the sun's shining on it, as you can see it, and I'm sure this video will not do it justice, it is really one pretty flower. my favorites are these sweet shrubs. They have a very sweet smell to them. I remember when I was a kid, we had one right outside one of the windows in our house, and you could raise the window this time of the year and smell it. I can't tell if these smell or not. See if you can, Jeremy. But they're real sweet smelling, and they generally don't start smelling really good until later and the blooms get a little older. This is a wild iris. My grandpa used to call them, when we'd be turkey hunting, he'd see them, he'd call them rooster heads. But that's actually an iris, and you can tell by the blades here that is a member of the iris family. All right, we'd really be amiss if we left out this plant right here, this Corsa dogwood. It has a 4-petal bloom on it. It's always in the spring of the year when it blooms. It's probably one of the most popular wildflowers there is. Another thing about dogwoods is they leaf in pairs. If you'll see, everywhere there's a leaf here, there's 2 of them. So they always leaf in pairs. And when I'm teaching kids about dogwoods and how to identify them, remember, just think of it this way: it's a puppy dog has 2 ears. Well, so does a dogwood. It has 2 leaves. That's how you can identify a dogwood. Another thing, I don't know if you can zoom in here, but you see this knot on that limb? It's kind of like a fungus or something that grows on dogwood that causes them to swell up like that. It doesn't hurt the plant, but that's real common to see them on dogwood bushes. But dogwoods are prevalent all over Alabama and a lot of other states too. And if you ever go by an area a year or 2 after they've cut all the timber and exposed those dogwoods to sunlight, you'll see a lot more blooming, because if they're in the dark woods, they don't bloom real heavily. So, but they really bloom when you put some sunlight to them. Okay, here's one of my favorite wildflowers right here. Even though I keep forgetting its name or forgetting how to pronounce it, but it's Coreopsis. You'll see it's really bright yellow, has a serrated edge of the leaf right there, and it always grows in fields and just wild patches of them in fields and stuff, and they may not be in the same place every year. I know I always used to have a big patch in that field over there, but there's none there this year for some reason. But this is a really nice flower, really pretty flower.